Welcome to the My House Podcast, a show about the past, present, and future goings-on at the My House Youth Drop-In Center in Wasilla, Alaska, with your host, Michelle Overstreet.
Welcome to episode 56 of the My House Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Overstreet, and today I am joined by Cody. Cody, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Cody O'Mara. I have been in the My House program since I was like 17. I ended up coming back recently. I'm 22 now, and I'm in the 3.1 program we have here for treatment, and it's really helping a lot.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me. The purpose of this podcast and a series that we're just starting today, you're our first guest, is called Exit Strategies. And it's really about amplifying exits from homelessness. When we talk about how do we solve the problem of homelessness, a lot of times people talk about housing, they talk about needing more money, they talk about more and more people. But you don't hear a lot of conversations about how to deal with the exit strategies that empower people to not come back into homelessness. And I think it's really cool that you've been a client here since you were 17 and then just recently decided, hey, I want to change my life. I want to figure out how to exit where I am right now to get to where I want to be. And I think one of the things that I really feel proud of here at my house is the fact that we treat young people like assets, not liabilities. And you and I had a great conversation about that in my office a few days ago. And if you were going to speak to that, what would you say about how you feel as a My House client coming back in and doing what amounts to a treatment program that is at a little bit higher level than probably what you were doing when you were 17, but you're ready for that, right? You were ready for that.
Right. So when I was 17, I was in the transitional housing. You guys even pulled strings to get me in at 17, right? Because it's 18 to 26.
Correct.
I was homeless, strung out on drugs, and I had nowhere to go. And a friend of mine had point me into the direction of this place, of the My House organization. And it's I was in a different lifestyle then and a different mindset. I was young, and I took things to extreme a lot, and now, like, I had to make an amends when I got out of detox into here, to a lot of people here, and they opened up their arms, wide open to let me in here. It was awesome. They accepted me back with no hesitation. It was really helpful and inspiring to see that, like, no matter what you do, they will always still help you, like, if you're willing to do the work and change, this program has helped so much and can help so many people. But yeah.
Awesome. And thinking about the difference, and I think you alluded to it, but you didn't really say it, that the expectation is if you've struggled in a program like our housing program, if you struggled in a program, that when you come back, the experience won't be necessarily positive. Like, you might be seen as a liability. You might be seen as less than what your real capacity is. And I really like the fact that when you came back, there was no hesitation. It was like, okay, what can we help you with? How can we help you? What can we put into place? Tell us a little bit about some things that have helped you kind of climb that ladder. What are the things that you accomplished, and how were you supported and helped to do those things?
Since I've been here in the 3.1. So when I got here, I was not on Medicaid. I was not on food stamps. I was my physical health was deteriorating at the time. I was not doing well, and they helped me get on Medicaid. They helped me set up appointments. I got my wisdom teeth pulled. I got my license for the first. I've never had my license. That was super helpful.
Your driver's license?
Yeah, I got my driver's license.
And have you been driving all this time?
I've been saving up money here, and I'm going to be buying a car soon.
No. I meant, did you drive without your license?
Oh, yeah.
Did you just drive without a license?
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody does, right? If you don't have your license, you just drive anyway. You just don't have it. So you got it.
Yeah, I got very lucky. That I didn't get in trouble on multiple occasions when I did get pulled over.
What's the statute of limitations on your driver's license? Do we need to cut that?
Edit that.
But what's it called? Like I wouldn't have been able to grow as much as I've grown here in this program because, I went from a victimized standpoint all the time to like, all right, now I'm going to follow in these people's directions as like, how can we fix the problem instead of sitting in it, That's all I've been doing my whole life is like, why me, why me, why me? And, why not me? I'm built for this. And this is what everybody here helps you understand and come to, agreement on like, hey man, you got this, they push you to do your best no matter what, even if you're in a bad day or anything. The staff support here is unparalleled. I love it so much. I wouldn't be where I am today without the help and guidance of a lot of my peer support at the 3.1 program, because whenever I'm having a hard time, anytime at all, like I can go to them, even on a bad day, when I first got here, I did not like the rules, and I reacted a lot rather than, finding a solution. I was fixing the blame instead of, fixing the problem. I had said a lot of mean things, and I was yelling, I was screaming, I was getting uppity and stuff with them, and the next day I was like, I'm sorry for that, and they're like, about what? About what? It's like, wow, okay, that means a lot. I know that it's your job to move past these things, but I want to let you know I'm sorry for the way I acted. And the old Cody would have never done that, made amends at all. I was.
Mm-hmm. So you had room to grow.
Absolutely.
You had grace and care and love to grow, and they're so part of seeing youth as an asset is one. Agreeing that you've got the potential to do anything you put your mind to.
Absolutely.
Right? What are your goals? How do we help you reach those goals? Mm-hmm. Number 2 is not taking anything personally. No. That your journey is yours, and we're here to help and support you. And if things go sideways once in a while, we don't have to take that all personally and hold a grudge and be angry for days. We're over it, and what's next? Right?
Exactly.
Well, and one of those things that was a big goal for you, it's cool because you're one of our first folks that have been in the 3.1 program. And I think the thing that makes our treatment program really different, outside the fact that it is, an 18 to 25 program where we've got this youth window so that you have that peer group, is that we allow clients to be working on those long-term goals while they're in treatment, right? Like you don't have to just spin your tires. And so it's tomorrow, the day that we're recording this, you've got your last GED test, right?
Yeah. They helped me get in touch with the 9-star program here in the Valley. The 9-star place was telling me that, you're going to be in here for like 9 weeks, to learn all this stuff in these different subjects. And, I took my tape test, got into some classes. I was in this 9-star for about a month. And then, after coming back and telling me, yeah, I learned this day, this, that, and the other, Roger, our
he's the COO actually.
The COO was telling me, you can pass it, no problem. You got it. You can pass the GED test. You got it. No problem. I was like, really? And he saw that in me, and I didn't even see it. I was like, are you sure, man? I mean, they told me I have all this time left, and I just went and took them. He's like, no, I'll pay for it. Don't even worry about it. And they have paid for every test I've taken, and I passed all of them. Every single first try passed every single test I've taken so far. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think I could do it at the time. And they saw that I could, They were like, no, you got this. No worries.
So having people that believe in you.
Always.
And encouraging you and saying, yeah, just, even if you didn't pass all of them, you gave it a go, right? You found out where you were, and it turns out you're way smart.
What's the powerhouse of the cell?
Mitochondria.
We already know he's going to pass tomorrow then. Yeah.
Right.
He's got it unlocked.
Yeah. So there have been accomplishments. There have been some things that were hard on you.
Oh yeah.
Last week you had some dentist things happening that were really hard on you. And what happens then? How do you manage those differently than you did before?
Right. So, I had gone to the dentist. I have 8 years and before that, when I was younger too, just nothing but negligence of taking care of my mouth, or, I was on meth, I was doing meth when I was from 16 to 22. And not taking care of my teeth while I was doing that. It just, all this 8 years of abuse and negligence just tore my mouth up. And, I went to go to the dentist the other day because I was, ever since I got my wisdom teeth pulled and 3 extractions, they ended up telling me that, hey, we don't know if we can save all your teeth, and that, you might be missing your front teeth for a while. And that was a huge blow. And it's still kind of, it gets, I cried. It sucked. Because I was so embarrassed. I was, kicking myself like, Cody, all this time, and then, I bring back to like the victim mentality thing, like in our worksheets, in our workbooks, in our 3.1 program, to phase up, you have to do these workbooks, and you have to do everything in there. And at the end of it, it says, do you still have a victim mentality? And then it says, yes or no. And it asks you questions like, do I hold grudges? No, yes or no, right? And I still remember some of these questions, and it still hits me hard, because, it said like a survivor mentality and a victim mentality is different. You have a survivor mentality that's in a bad situation and says, okay, where do we go from here? Like, okay, this is crappy, but what do we do now? The victim mentality says, this sucks. This is all it's ever going to be. And this is, and I know it's in my peer support, which is really cool. Sucks that he had been through this too, in addiction and with his dental. But he had told me that, hey, it's going to get better. Believe me, I'm about to walk. You're about to walk through the same thing I've walked through, buddy. It's totally fine. Like, he popped his, his parcels out. Was like, see, I was like, oh wow. He's like, did you, like, you can relate with these people, and it's really cool to see that no matter what you go through, like, it's just like walking into an NA or AA program, like you tell a story, and like almost everybody in there is like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, you're not going to see anything pretty much new inside of a meeting like that. Just like with my sponsor or with my my peer support, they relate, and it's really cool to see somebody relate like that. And I handle it differently now, because I would have just sat in it, just pity me, poor me, like, this sucks. But I'm like, nope, that's not. I'm still gonna get, like, that's not gonna get in the way of any, like, my GED, anything. I have a job offer that's fantastic. I can't wait to start. Yeah, when I start that after this GED, oh my gosh, I'm not even worried about my teeth. Like I'm gonna pay for new teeth with this new job. Like, I'm not even thinking about the pity me part of it. I'm just like, well, this is happening afterwards, and I got this locked. You're
like, moving on, right?
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna happen regardless whether I like it or not. But there's nothing that says I can't fix it in the future. It's all incremental goals and partial goals that that you need to fulfill in the moment. You know what I mean? What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do this week? And that's what we just did that this morning in our 3.1. We sit down and we make a schedule for the week. What do you have to do this week? And
Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday morning.
Planning.
Yeah, as soon as we wake up at the house and stuff, we do our chores. We go downstairs, watch a little TV, and then 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. hits, and then we are starting a group. And this group on Monday, every Monday, it's like scheduling. What do you have to do this week? What do you have to do this week? Appointments, however you're gonna, and they want you to find short-term goals. What's your goal for this week? And a lot of my goals have been like, hey, fines or a GED stuff or license, and I've already got all this stuff now. So I'm like, having to find more goals is kind of getting a little bit harder, So I'm like, man, what can I? They've helped me with everything so far.
Yeah, dream big, right? I always say dream big, do something awesome. I want to back up for just a second to the peer support part, and your peer support person that is part of our 3.1 program saying, yeah, I had that, and popping their parcels out and saying, look, check it out. Mm-hmm. You didn't even know that he had all that dental stuff done. And you also didn't know probably, or maybe you did, that he's a former client here and spent years coming in trying to get clean and went through a local program that was a residential program and came back to be peer support because his heart is really in it. His heart is in. Being able to say that to you was probably made his day. Like,
it did.
You know,
I've known that peer support from when I was in transitional housing. You know, I was in transitional housing with him back in the day when we were in my house together. To see where he was then and see where he's at now, it's a 180. Like, so proud of him, and I get to hear, you know, he's proud of me too. And I'm like, I'm not gonna let you down. I'm not gonna let myself down. I'm not gonna let my family down. Like, I'm just on a new road of recovery, and he helps me through it all the time. He's like, man, you've come a long way from last time we met. You
right?
know? Like, me and you were, you know, me and him had hung out a lot back in the day, you know what I mean? Back in doing our stupid stuff.
Sure.
And now seeing him, like, that's the last thing on his mind. He's like, dude, like, he eats, sleeps, and breathes the my house and recovery and just life now. Like, a new beauty. He's like, dude, there's so much beauty to life that you're missing out on when I first got here. And I didn't see it, you know. I was like, you know, I don't want to be here, this, that, and the other, but I did. And then next thing you know, it clicked one day, and acceptance is the key to all of our problems, you know.
It's all dependent on willingness.
Exactly, you know, accepting a situation for exactly how it is, you know, accepting life on life's terms, and, you know, like, you have no control over it. Like, I was having a bad day one day, called my grandpa, and I was getting ready to, you know, freak out, and my grandpa was like, say the serenity prayer with me. And I said the serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And then he told me to shut up. You know? And I was like, all right. He's like, I'll say it again. I said it again. He's like, all right, shut up. I'm like, all right, man. You know, you're making me mad. And he's like, well, you get what I'm saying? And I was like, it clicked. I'm like, oh, yeah. You know, like, just acceptance, you know. Can't change the rules. Can't change it. Like, but it is a new program. So some things, like, you know, valid opinions or complaints, like, hey man, this doesn't really jive with everybody that's been in the program so far. Like, there's a new phone rule, but once you get to phase 3, which I'm on now, there's 4 phases that you can get your phone throughout the day. But, like, they grandfathered the other people in because they've been here since the program began, so they're, like, working out the kinks of the program. It's super awesome. They have a lot of grace, and they give a lot of grace. Even if you mess up, like, they don't hold it against you at all. And my clinician always tells me too, like, man, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you look bad. He's like, I don't look bad. He said, we don't wear your successes and we don't wear your failures. Nice. Mm-hmm. That's just how exactly it is. Right. And he's like, we just don't do that. Like, if you were to go out and use tomorrow, that's not on me. That's, right. You know.
So here's what happens when you have a situation where somebody owns your failure. Then they take that responsibility off you, and you never shoulder it to the point where you say, I have to change my attitude, right?
Yep.
And so I'm stealing from you if I do that. And if I take credit for your success, then I'm stealing that from you. Then you don't get to feel that total joy of, like, man, I killed this, right?
Exactly.
And so we have some really careful, thoughtful processes that keep us from doing that. If I'm talking about you, like in this scenario, I'm inviting you to come because I'm proud of you, and I feel like I want the community to hear your voice.
That's right.
Right? I want them to see you as an asset, and I want them to understand that when you were 17 and when you came here, when you were doing meth and heroin and whatever else was happening in your life, you were still an asset. You hadn't decided to grow into those shoes yet. Right. But today I'm telling you, dream big, because you can see the future down the way, and it's looking pretty good. I mean, you know, you got a killer job offer on the table. You've got some things that are going to help you get to the next level. And as a community, if we can see the youth, especially youth that are struggling, as assets instead of as liabilities, then we believe in them. We infuse energy into them. We communicate to them without even using words that they're welcome, that we want them to be successful, that their struggles are okay, but they have people that can walk alongside them that have probably been there, that there are a lot of different ways, a lot of different pathways to get to the same end goal, but we believe in you. We believe in your value.
So this is my 3rd time into my house getting services from you guys. So the first one was 17. The next one, I think, was 18 or 19 or something. No, it was 18. No, it was 19. And then that was when I ended up getting criminally trespassed from here because of how bad I was. And, that did not stop you guys at all after a couple years. And I came back and you guys were like, no, yeah, it's in the past. If you still need help, perfect. We are here. That's what we're here for, And
Yep.
I had a lot of proving to do, even though you guys didn't ask that of me. I had a lot of proving that I wanted to show you that, like, I can follow the rules. I can follow, I can do everything I need to do,
Yeah, you wanted to be that guy, right?
Exactly.
When you met Jim Watterson in the cafe, the guy that owns Watterson Construction, that's running our construction thing, he was watching you work in the parking lot. You were just volunteering to get the rocks out of the parking lot, right?
Yep.
He was watching you work, and he was like, hey, what about that kid? Could that kid come to work on our project, our $23 million building?
Absolutely.
I wrote into the grant, when I wrote the grant, that we would have at least a dozen of our clients working on that building. And so when you met Jim Watterson, the reality was that he was looking around in there going, okay, who are these 12 kids going to be that come to work on my crew?
Right. Who's out there working and who's, but it was like, I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I wasn't at all. I was actually thinking about doing NIT and also because you guys are getting funding from NIT soon,
Sure.
too, in July. So,
Great choice.
everything is going, I'm like, man, there's so many opportunities here. And then when I walked up to him, I was like, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. I didn't even know he was a bigwig or anything. I didn't. I was like, hey, how's it going, man? Nice to meet you. I'm Cody. I didn't know. And, he told me he was the CEO of Watterson Construction. I'm like, oh, that's, that's pretty big. They're doing the building, they're paying for, they're doing the construction on the building. I'm like, oh, wow. I found out that if I get this job, I'll be able to do construction on that building as well.
Right.
And help out. I'm like, wow, man. So starting off at $32 an hour as a laborer, and joining a ABC program as an apprenticeship under their lead foreman. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
None of this would have been possible without you guys.
Well, no.
You're out there.
It would not have been possible without your sobriety and hard work. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
That's the truth. It's,
you know,
you've taken advantage of the opportunities, but Jim Watterson sitting in our cafe saw you as an asset. He didn't see you as a liability in the community, and I think that's really the magic of exit strategies. If you're going to talk about exit strategies, you have to believe that the people that you're serving not only deserve, but have the capacity and have the desire. I always say, no 5-year-old kid stands up in his preschool class and says, I want to be homeless when I grow up. Yeah. It's just not reality. But there are kids that stand up and say, I want to work construction.
That's right.
I want to be a welder. I want to be, an NIT training program, for example. Yep. So I'm really proud of the fact that you're taking advantage of these programs, because we've used our youth advisory board has given us the information about what they wanted to do and how can we populate our program with trainings that they wanted to do. We don't want to set up trainings that are our idea that you aren't interested in. And so as we talk about building the My House programs and how to build a program like this, and youth as assets, talk to the youth in your community, talk to the youth in your business, talk to the youth in your advisory boards. Mm-hmm. I think we have 20, how many kids? 22?
Well, I don't know what the full advisory group is, because those meetings are a little more informal, but we have 7 members of our youth board of directors that are, go to our board retreats, and we're actually taking applicants from former clients right now. We're getting ready for new elections. So, when we say we're a youth-led organization, we like to make sure that we follow through that grant through the Health Foundation that pays for through the Matsu Health Foundation that pays for those youth board stipends and activities and structure is really, the training really instrumental and allows our clients to go do really cool stuff like Juno, like the group that's getting ready to go to DC for the National Conference on Ending Homelessness. I mean, it's just another way we can provide those opportunities. Mm-hmm. As we conclude, Cody, what would, when we were doing Exit 12 on AANA, you always hear the stories about people just saying, you just got to work the program, right? But no one when they're starting out wants to work the program, right? That doesn't sound, I don't know what your, personal experience would be, but that's always kind of a tough sell when you're in those first 30 days. It seems like, well, I just gotta do this every day. Like, that sounds miserable. Like, what would you say to someone that is considering treatment or treatment with My House, or reaching out for services? What makes it worth it in your mind?
Well, just work your program. Like, it's not work the program, work your program, right? Whatever's best for you, whatever, because it's in the end, it's you. It's you making a decision to get sober. For me, it took really something that was traumatizing for me to, like, hey man, I need to get help. I'm tired. It does not get easier being homeless 22. So I ended up, getting into detox. If I didn't make that call right then when I felt like it, I probably wouldn't have been here still, So you have to do it in the moment. If you're hearing this, you have to do it in the moment. You like, hey, if that pops in your head, like, hey, I need treatment, do it right now. Do it, get into treatment, work the program to your best ability that you can do, right? Because the first thing I saw when I went into detox was that, like, all these, like, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here at the end, like, what am I doing here, And then I saw these people waking up in the morning, like, hey man, I was thinking about you last night, so I brought this in for you to, as an activity day. I'm like, whoa, what? Like, they go to bed and wake up thinking about their clients, and it was like the most purest form of love that I ever felt. Never felt that before, and you got to start off somewhere, because the only way to get in this program is to get into the 3.1 program is you got to be clean, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be clean, and if you want it bad enough, like I wanted it bad enough, for a lot of these treatment centers, you got to be clean. And yes, I have slipped up since I've been here. Like, I went out, my uncle had a stroke. I was at the hospital, and given the opportunity, I thought I was going to say no, a million times, but I was offered weed, and I smoked weed, and I was like, oh man, what did I just do? But now I'm 48 days completely done with everything. I'm like, I needed that experience to show me why I don't want this anymore.
You learned, right? You learned. You were like, wait, what?
That was a huge slip up in my eyes. People, it's legal now, whatever. People, I'm like, no, it's not that. I'm working a program. I made a promise to myself and everybody in the rooms that I go to, saying that I was going to abstain from drugs of any kind, and I couldn't do it at the time. I'm like, wow, I really thought I could do this, but I can do this. It's the thing of, like, work your program, get the job done. You'll feel so much better, regardless of what people say. Like, tomorrow's going to be it will be different. Tomorrow's going to be different, I promise. And that, you're not alone out there. Like, that's the best part about it. When I got into here, it was like, my dad was telling me, you don't have to do this alone anymore. Like, you have people it's a huge support group. Like, there's tons of people in here, people that walk in off the street that are amazing, people that are just affiliated with this program that can help you. Even if this program is not best for you, right? Like, there's other people in here that are from different programs that would love to help you, that are love to help this demographic of Alaskans, of people in general, But yeah, that's all I got for this right now,
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cody, for being with us today. I appreciate you being willing to speak up and share your story. The My House podcast is recorded at the My House studio in Wasilla, Alaska. Our producer and editor is Ozzie Keener, and I'm Michelle Overstreet. Until next time.